Hello, it's Tanya. Topic number 7, spiritual food versus natural food. Uh, it's important for everybody to understand that everything that your natural body needs, your spiritual body needs as well. And I want to help you guys to understand that as you need food, natural food to eat and survive, you also need spiritual food to eat and survive. I know right now with everything going on with the COVID-19 and everything, churches are closed. People are not going to church. A lot of them are doing churches online. But what I want you to understand is that a lot of people have only been forcing their spiritual bodies to survive off of one meal per week. They go to church once a week on Sundays, and they rely on that one spiritual meal to just carry them through the week. With your natural body, we all know that we can't survive, we can't live like that. So with our natural bodies, we feed ourselves 3 times a day, every day of the week. And that's how we get the energy we need, that's how we get the strength we need, that's how we get the vitamins we need, that's how we grow, that's how we develop, that's how we survive. That's just the way our bodies are made. On the spiritual side of things, it's pretty much the same. We have to feed ourselves spiritually in order to survive. Just as I hear people say a lot, we have to listen to our bodies. If we're thirsty, we need to drink. If we're hungry, we need to eat. If we feel tired, we need to rest. So we listen to our bodies, to tell us what to do, in the natural. So we have to tune in and listen to our spirit man to see, okay, what it is that we need spiritually in order to grow and survive as well. So we have to eat to survive. We cannot starve ourselves. We cannot just rely on one meal per week to carry us through the week. We can't do it. Our natural bodies can't do it. Our spiritual bodies can't do it as well. If you get attacked with something throughout the week, if you are faced with something throughout the week, you don't have the strength, you don't have the energy, you don't have what you need to pull through or to fight whatever you may be attacked with. Just like in the natural, if you don't eat, you're weak, and if you have to defend yourself, or if you have to if you have to work or whatever, you need energy, you need to feed your body in order to be able to make it and be able to do what you need to do, without passing out, without being dehydrated. So it's the same in the spirit. We need to constantly feed ourselves and feed our spirit. We cannot rely on a pastor or someone to give us what we need spiritually. So we cannot starve ourselves spiritually. If we're not starving ourselves in the natural, we cannot starve ourselves in the spiritual. Some of us have been through some things in our lives, in the natural, that we may be on a special diet. We may have, the doctor sometimes put us on special diets, depending on what we're going through in our bodies. And it's the same thing in the spirit. Sometimes, we are on special diets, and sometimes we need a certain type of feeding. Sometimes we need more of something and less of something else, depending on, what we've been through in our lives. For instance, if someone has been hurt or betrayed, in the past, then they may need, to feed themselves, scriptures that talks about, rest and love and trust, in God, and putting your cares and weight, on God, casting your cares on Him, So it just all depends on what kind of special diet that you may be on spiritually. And some people are not even on special diets. It just all depends. Each person is everybody's body is different. Just like in the natural, everybody's body is different, respond different ways to different things and different foods. It's the same in the spiritual. Everybody is not in the same place spiritually. So every meal is not for everybody. So that's even for, some churches that some people belong to, if you're not being fed what you need to grow, then you need to reconsider, maybe going to another church or being under somebody else's leadership, depending on what they're teaching at the time. And you have to be, you can't be so religious to that you feel like you are betraying a pastor, or you are not loyal to a ministry because you need to, step away and go get fed something from somewhere else for a little bit. There may be another pastor or minister that may be teaching a series right now on something that you need, that's so vital in your life that you need at this moment. There may be a series being taught on it, and because you don't want to pull away from, you wonder what people think, you wonder what people may say, you're going over here and then you go back, you have to be led by your spirit. You have to feed your body, your spiritual body, what it needs. You have to feed your spiritual body what it needs. You cannot just stay in a place if you're not being fed. If you're not growing spiritually, you cannot stay in a place. And then God may, bring you, allow you to get something you need from one place and then go back and then continue on in the ministry that you were a part of. You just have to take your mind and your logic out of it and just follow your spirit. Just like just like they say, listen to your body. Your body will tell you, what it needs. Listen to your spirit. Your spirit will tell you what it needs. So don't be so religious to that you feel as if you can't go and sit in on another teaching somewhere else. If they're teaching something that you need to survive spiritually, you need to do it. And then you can always go back if you're led to your ministry. But that's something that's very important. If you're on a special diet and there's messages being put out there, somebody teaching a series on a certain thing that you need really to survive spiritually, you need to go ahead and eat on that, to be healthy spiritually. If you don't feed yourself spiritually, you will spiritually die. I have a lot of people around here like The Walking Dead, and I'm sorry, I know people there. I know there's a show out there called The Walking Dead, but I would recommend you guys not prophesy to yourselves and not even watch it. It's a lot of people, they don't feed themselves at all spiritually. And they are just like The Walking Dead. And then you have some people that are malnourished spiritually. Just like you can be malnourished in the natural, you can be malnourished in the spirit as well. So you have to nurture your spirit man, whether it be through worship, whether it be through prayer, whether it be through studying God's word, for yourself, because the word of God tells us to study to show ourselves approved anyway. So we're already supposed to be studying God's word anyway. So you have to, if you feel like you're malnourished and you feel like every time you get hit with something, you just being knocked down, every time you get up, you're being knocked back down, you don't have strength. You're not eating. You're not giving yourself what you need spiritually to survive. You're weak. So every time something attacks you, you're on the floor. You have no fight. You have no get up. You have no defense. You have nothing, because you haven't been taking anything in to fight off for your strength. Just like in the natural, if you don't eat, you begin to lose weight and muscle and everything else, and then there's something, a illness or sickness attack your body, you just out. You just laid out because you don't have a defense. So it's the same in the spirit. You have to be fed spiritually. You cannot survive off of one meal a week. It's not going to work. Going to church only on Sunday and then just letting that one word carry you through the rest of the week until next Sunday when you get another word, that's not going to cut it. You have to eat every day. You have to eat several times a day. Just like in a natural, you don't eat one meal on Sunday and then eat one meal again on the following Sunday. You don't do that. You know, everybody be around here sick and dead, and so you have to treat your spirit man the same exact way as you treat your natural body. And another thing that I want you guys to understand is that overeating is something that people have a tendency of doing just to for a checklist, per se. They may listen to, or they may say, okay, well, I'm going to listen to 2 or 3 different messages today. I need to catch up on some teachings or catch up on some lessons, that my pastor has been teaching, or want to catch up on some different ministers' lessons or whatever. So the thing is that when you listen to a message, or when you listen to a teaching, you have to let that digest. You cannot just go from one lesson to another lesson, from one message to another sermon. You cannot do that back to back, because you're gonna overeat. You're gonna overeat, and then you're not gonna keep everything down. You're gonna spit some of that stuff back up, and everything is not gonna stay inside. So you have to treat spiritual eating just like you treat in the natural. You eat one meal at a time, and then you stop, you let it digest. You know what I'm saying? Let it meditate. The word that you're listening to, the lessons, the teachings, you let that digest for a little while, and you ponder on it. Let it resonate in your spirit, and you have to let that word work in you. Let that word penetrate your mind, your heart, your spirit. Let it do what it has to do. Just like in the natural, you would if you eat something, let it digest and let the vitamins get all in you, and let your protein get in, and you have to let your food digest before you eat again. So that's very important, not to overeat for the sake of a checklist. I listened to 3 messages today, so I feel good. Yeah, but how much did you retain? How much did you retain? You later on, you may not remember anything, because you cram your mind with so much, you didn't digest everything. So you have to feed yourself spiritually, but you cannot overeat spiritually. Same, what goes for the natural goes for the spirit, is what I'm trying to get you guys to understand. Another thing that you guys really need to know is you can't feed yourself junk. Just like with in the natural, you don't eat chips and Kool-Aid and soda and cookies all day long. You don't want to you want to eat vegetables, you want to eat fruit, you want to drink water, you want to put in your body things that's gonna keep you healthy, so that you can live a long, healthy, strong life. So the same in the spirit. You don't want to feed yourself a bunch of junk. You don't want to feed yourself gossip and bitterness and envy and pornography, and you don't want to feed yourself a bunch of junk. Because you're not going to have the vitamins you need. You're not going to have what you need inside of you in order to continue to move on, with the strength that you need. So stop eating junk food, period. Stop eating junk food. Even, what we watch on TV sometimes, that's feeding our spirits junk. And we can't survive off of junk food in the natural, and we can't survive off of junk food in the spirit. So watch what you take in, and be careful. Some people I know they are spiritually ill, spiritually sick. They may not be spiritually dead, but they may be in a place where they're kind of dwindling down and not really eating and doing what they need to do spiritually, for their spiritual bodies. And some people may be in the ICU spiritually, and we have to understand, everything goes on both sides. If in the natural, if you're in the ICU, you pretty much just there, people taking care of you. You're in a very critical state, So you think about it in the spiritual. If you are in a very critical state and you need some help and you need some immediate assistance, you have to be very, very careful about who you let minister to you, who you let talk to you and give you advice. You have to be very, very careful and be led by the Spirit of God. Just like in the natural, you wouldn't let a doctor operate on you who has no license. You wouldn't let a doctor operate on you who knows nothing about. They just say that they're a doctor. There's no certificates, no degrees, no nothing to verify what they're saying. But because they're offering you, they walk up to you, hey, I can help you with this, help you with that. I can do this surgery. I know I can. I've done it plenty of times before. You in the spirit, in the natural, you wouldn't let that happen. Especially if you don't know that they're a real doctor. In the spirit, you got to be the same way. You got to be just as stern, just like you are protective with your natural body. You wouldn't let just anybody who say that they're a doctor come and operate on you. You have to be the same way in the spirit. You cannot let anybody prophesy to you. You cannot let anybody speak words into your life. You don't even let anybody touch you, because spirits transfer from person to person. Don't let anybody touch you. Don't let, especially if you're very critical, because you don't have a defense. You're kind of helpless. If you're, in ICU, you're helpless. You can't do anything for yourself. So, same as in the spirit. You don't let anybody touch you. Don't let anybody advise you. Don't just let anybody, just be led by the Spirit and know who you are confiding in. Know who your spiritual leaders are. Know who you trust spiritually. You can't just let anybody operate on you. You just can't. So you can't let anybody. Don't go off every prophecy that somebody tell you. If somebody gives you a prophecy, usually it should be a confirmation of what God has already shown you. It should be a confirmation, because God talks to us too. He talks to us and tell us, things, in our lives, and, God talks to us, so when somebody come to us, it should be more of a confirmation, of what you already know, what's already in your spirit, of what God has already been dealing with you about. So be very careful about who you let, deposit, into your life spiritually. And just like in the natural, be careful who you eat from, period. Our bodies are the temple of God. So we have to be careful about what we feed our bodies, what we feed our bodies. So in a spirit, we want to feed ourselves, what is it? Galatians 5:22, I believe, is the fruit of the Spirit. We talked about love, joy, peace, long suffering, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Those types of things are what you want to feed yourself. It's like feeding yourself the fruit of the Spirit is like feeding yourself fruits and vegetables and water, and giving yourself vitamins and the things you need to really be strong, so don't feed yourself a bunch of junk, hatred and backbiting, and you don't want to feed yourself all that kind of stuff. You want to feed yourself the fruit of the Spirit. You want to surround yourself with people that are surrendered to God. You want to surround yourself with people who are actually trying to move forward in purpose, who actually have a relationship with God, people who are actually, whose life is a reflection of the character of God. You have to, try the Spirit by the Spirit. You have to just follow your spirit and know who you are confiding in. Don't, you have to be careful about who you let in your circles. You have to be careful, because all of that is you're eating off of that. So you have to be careful about that. So in a nutshell, everything that we do for our bodies in the natural, we have to do the same thing on the spiritual side, so that we can live, so that we can survive. We don't want to starve ourselves spiritually. We don't want to be walking around here like the Walking Dead, because it's real. There are a lot of people around like they're really the Walking Dead. They're spiritually dead. There is no life in them, so we don't want to do that. We want to continue to feed ourselves spiritually on a daily basis, several times a day. How can you feed yourself spiritually? You can feed yourself through meditation. You can feed yourself through just putting on worship music. You can feed yourself through prayer. You can feed yourself through studying God's word. You can feed yourself through listening to teachings like this or other teachings from other ministers. You can feed yourself in various different ways. Just make sure you get fed. You can just put on praise. You can put on worship. Just feed yourself. Feed yourself spiritually. Don't rely on somebody to feed you. You are not a baby. Feed yourself. Feed yourself. If you don't need to be spoon fed in the natural. You shouldn't need to be spoon fed in the spiritual. Feed yourself. There's a lot of technology out here. There's a lot of ways to, there's the radio, there's Spotify, YouTube, there's worship music all over the place. There's, with the Bible, there's many different translations. So if you don't understand it, get another translation. There's many ways. Just like if you're hungry, you're going to go find some food from somewhere if you're hungry, in the natural. So let's treat our spiritual bodies the same way. Let's feed ourselves. We know we're hungry and we're thirsty for God. Come on, let's feed from His word, because only He can give us what we need. So as forceful as you are and determined as you are to go find some food when you're hungry, you do the same thing, in the spiritual. Don't just let yourself spiritually die, because if you if you have a healthy life in the natural, but then you're spiritually dead, what does it profit you when you close your eyes and you're gone? What does it profit you? It profits you nothing. You have a healthy body in the natural, but your body in the ground, your spirit is gone up or wherever. But if you're not where you need to be spiritually, the natural, everything you did for your natural body, it does not even matter if you're dead spiritually. So I pray that this word, I pray that it take root. I pray that you meditate on it, let it resonate in your mind, your spirit. And I'll talk to you again soon.